So, what is your opinion? Drop in the comments below. Will crypto benefit more from Donald Trump winning the US presidential election or from Kamala Harris winning the upcoming US presidential election? Now, in this article, there's actually some interesting points that detail both sides of that equation, but I want to understand and kind of hear your opinion. Really, sincerely, drop in the comments below. Do you think crypto will benefit more from a Trump win in the election or from a Harris win in the election? Historically, if you go back and you look at, say, the last 8 to 10 years, the Republican Party has been more pro crypto than the Democratic Party. Now, I know that there are always those outlier voices on each respective side of the aisle. I know that there are differing views. And again, I'm not making a political video here. I'm genuinely wanting to know what your opinion is. But I want to dive into this and give you some interesting kind of food for thought here, because there was a couple of points in this article that I actually kind of made me like, okay, that's interesting. Okay, so here we go. So if Kamala Harris wins or Donald Trump wins, there's obviously the dialogue of, is Gary Gensler in or out? Well, we know that if Trump wins, he has stated publicly that he is going to fire Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC. We also know that Kamala Harris has said publicly that she may even make Gary Gensler the Treasury Secretary. Okay. And so she's actually going to promote him. If Trump wins, is Bitcoin headed to 80,000 or is it headed to 40,000 if Kamala Harris wins in the short term? So there's interesting scenarios here. And so let's dive into these. Okay. So there's a analyst firm called Van Eck right here, which is a major digital asset right now. I'm talking about this in purple right here. This was interesting. It suggests that a Harris administration might maintain Gary Gensler as the SEC chair or promote him to the Treasury Secretary, which would likely result in stricter regulatory policies for the crypto industries. Yes, that is true. We know that if she does keep him in place, Gary Gensler is already shown and proven his stance / the SEC stance as being effectively anti-crypto and trying to regulate it through enforcement. That is not me saying it. That is the track record. You can see it, all that kind of stuff. But then continuing, aligning her financial policies with the more regulatory focused wing of the Democratic Party. So what they're saying there is the Democratic Party definitely believes in more regulations coming from the government, especially around crypto. Representatives represented by figures such as Senator Elizabeth Warren, anti-crypto, publicly has stated very anti-crypto things, could create an environment that, quote, hinders institutional adoption of digital assets. And that's what's interesting right there, hindering the institutional adoption. Okay, so one of the big things that I've talked about in videos and we've known out there is we need institutional money, meaning like the traditional big traditional finance organizations like Fidelity, Schwab, BlackRock. We want them to do even more in crypto to go out and bring mainstream populations globally, especially but here in the United States, bring their financial resources to bear to bring more people into crypto. Okay. And so Senator Warren would want to create an environment that hinders institutional adoption of assets. That's purple. But listen to this in the orange, still talking about a Kamala Harris presidency. In the orange, while this regulatory tightening might slow the overall growth of cryptocurrencies, Van Eck, the digital asset research firm, speculates that Bitcoin could actually benefit from a scenario. This is where it gets interesting. In the green, increased fiscal spending, i.e., the Democratic Party possibly even giving people checks like we did back in the day, and maybe even tightening the regulations from a fiscal regulation standpoint, could push more investors to see Bitcoin as a hedge against economic uncertainty, inflation. Historically, Bitcoin's been viewed as a hedge against economic uncertainty and inflation. Okay. In other words, a Harris presidency could indirectly boost Bitcoin's appeal as a, quote, safe haven asset. And I've never really thought about these two paragraphs or these two sentences right here. Those have never really kind of been part of how I've looked at it. Again, as it relates to the presidential election and their policies about crypto. Okay. So again, put aside if you're Republican or Democrat and just look at the facts, but that's interesting in the blue. And I never really thought about that. Now, look, here's what we know about Trump and his view of crypto. We know that he's very pro crypto. He's come out publicly stated he has his own NFT lines, things of that nature. We know that he favors the entire cryptocurrency ecosystems, and he's an advocate for deregulation and business friendly policies. Bottom line. Okay. So the VanEck analysts believe that a Trump administration would be more favorable for the broader crypto market. Again, we know this. Deregulation could especially benefit crypto entrepreneurs and lead to an expansion of the market. Those are what he's publicly stated and effectively align with the more conservative pro-business approach of the Republican Party, things of that nature. Then finally, in the orange, there's a Bernstein, a major investment research firm, predicts that Bitcoin could surge to 80, 90,000 if Trump wins the election. That's entirely possible. And if Harris were to win, there could be a knee-jerk reaction where we see possibly Bitcoin 30,000, 40 to 40,000 range in the short term. Because I think ultimately, the crypto market will have what I call a knee-jerk reaction to Harris winning, but maybe going back up to these two sentences here over time because of what I've read there. And you can pause the video and read that if you get in the blue, if you would like. We could see crypto indirectly benefit from a Kamala Harris presidency. Now, ultimately, part of this comes down to who wins Congress, right? If the Democrats versus Republican take control of Congress as well, the presidency doesn't act in a silo. You've got to have the president, their party, but then you also have, the House and the Senate, and who controls both of those respective organizations, Republicans or Democrats. Again, we know these things. So this is what's interesting. It's kind of creating this very interesting scenario. So again, I want to hear from you. What do you think? Drop in the comments below later. There's some food for thought here. All right. So I'll see you. Have a good one. Go make some money.